What if the justice system meant to punish oneself can actually be used to reform one's life? The justice system refers to a process established by the government to enforce laws, provide justice, maintain order, and most importantly, rehabilitation. Rehabilitation is meant to help those that committed crimes come back to society as a better person and lean towards positive change. At the onset, rehabilitation is beneficial due to it being able to support offenders rebuild their lives. They can do this through education, community service, therapy, and such others presented. A study found on the RAND Corporation website shows how inmates who participated in educational programs are 43% less likely to commit crime again. Additionally, the justice system is essential due to it providing order in society. From a political and governmental perspective, a well-made justice system is needed to enforce laws and keep fairness. Without it, society would be in chaos and all over the place. On the other hand, a major flaw often seen in the justice system is the inequality. A report by the Sentencing Project shows how African Americans are imprisoned over 5 times more than the usual rate white Americans are. This is getting more common in our society due to the growing racial injustice. From a societal standpoint, this shows not everyone is treated equally, and while justice might be served for some, it can be abused to others. Furthermore, a recurring disastrous issue seen more often is when prisoners are released, there's an absence of rehabilitation programs. Many of those released from incarceration aren't provided with enough support systems. The National Institute of Justice website states that reoffending rates go high over time because those released struggle to find a stable living environment and job. Getting back on track with your life after being in jail for a period of time is intensely difficult for some, and many of them don't succeed and end up back in jail.
Information and Communications Technology, also known as ICT, is used to manage, process, and communicate. It's in our daily lives where we constantly use it as an entertainment. An article from Forbes says how platforms like Netflix and Spotify use AI to analyze user data like user behavior or personal preferences. This helps provide personalized recommendations that go with your likings. From an entertainment point of view, AI is quick and adaptable, which ensures users to be engaged to the content. Also, ICT helps increase a child's involvement in school. For example, schools used to make us read online books, and we received points if we did. And that would encourage students to continue reading. A study from the Renaissance shows how students using Mayan highlights notable increasement in reading growth. From an educational stance, technology has helped students access more educational content and improve their school performance. But ICT can also decrease self-awareness. An article from PsychReg says that technological distractions negatively impacts Generation Z's mental and physical well-being. This proves that our future generations and current generation will be impacted because we need to find a balance in technology that doesn't distract us from our goals. To add on, ICT reduces job employments. On the e-news, it says that UN warns that AI could disrupt 40% of jobs globally. This demonstrates that many are at risk of displacement, which also means many people will need to find new careers or interests. As technology starts advancing, things start changing, but will it benefit or harm the
Historical arts
future?
and crafts are just that, crafts that have been passed down and shared through generations and cultures. But why are they important? On the onset, traditional arts and crafts are a link between the past and the present. They preserve cultures and traditions while preserving the culture's identity, values, and history. According to an article written by Alokia, it states that the preservation of traditional crafts is crucial for several reasons. Some of these reasons include the importance of these crafts to their culture. They are important to their local economy and the educational value that could be passed down to future generations. From a cultural point of view, it is important to preserve your culture. Additionally, most traditional arts and crafts are usually very sustainable and help reduce waste in landfills, According to an analysis of an article by Sayendo, it states that there's a tradition called kanta that has been developed and used to rehabilitate women refugees. They now promote sustainable fashion. From an environmental point of view, there is a great way to prevent more trash from ending up in landfills. On the other hand, mass production has made it difficult for artisans to sell due to the fact that mass production products are much cheaper than handmade products. According to an article written by a newspaper, it states that due to complicated factors, worldwide traditional crafting skills and techniques are disappearing at an astonishing speed in recent decades. On the contrary, there is now a decline in people learning these traditional skills. According to a video posted by Harvard University, it states that 90,000 years ago, Neolithic people used to make sophisticated weaving technology that now only a select few know about.
Imagine your favorite book, video game, or even TikTok vanished out of nowhere. Usually, when stuff like this occurs in real-life situations, it's seen as the phrase censorship, which is starting to happen more and more as we progress. Censorship is when the government or those in prestige power restrict media, art, or any form of expression because of what opinions it might bring. While to some its purpose might be deemed as unconstitutional, others support its use. Undoubtedly, blocking out specific types of statements is essential when preventing hate speech or discrimination from being tossed around, which might result in disorderly conduct. While reading through Meta's recent updates, it states how Meta added additional restrictions to prevent further posts that targeted Zionists. It's about how posts that speak about them when not speaking about the political movement will be removed. These attention-grabbing updates were later made into an article by The Guardian, discussing it in greater detail. In a cultural perspective, keeping such regulations is essential due to certain cultures taking offense to such phrases. Furthermore, the use of adding restrictions based on a belief is beneficial due to its prevention of misinformation. An experience we all lived through was COVID-19. Everyone will be troubled on the topic and what was to happen next. As stated by the World Health Organization website, too much information released on the internet leads to misleading knowledge and making more confusion than there already is. The government having somewhat control of being able to suppress specific topics will soothe the public and prevent further panic, therefore having censorship in hand in favorable cases. However, censorship really goes both ways. The misuse of censorship is detrimental since it leads to an oligarchic government. It's well known how North Korea has a high-controlled media. While further researching this topic, I ran into an article on BBC News which states how North Korea's central television channel only includes programs and documentaries praising Kim Jong-il and his governing tactics. This further proves how censorship results in government control. From a governmental standpoint, it shows how disastrous censorship can be with its usage. Additionally, the handling of censoring content is tragic because it eliminates the freedom of expression. For instance, one might publish a video conversation about political beliefs on TikTok, and it's not uncommon for those videos to be removed.
Nowadays, environmental issues are becoming more and more important. From climate change to pollution, people are realizing that the earth needs to be saved and protected. Many believe we must act fast to save the planet, but others worry about the costs and changes these actions bring. At the onset, one of these benefits is the growing concern for the environment is education. More people are learning how their actions affect the earth itself. For an example, schools and communities now teach recycling, saving water, and using less energy. Furthermore, another advantage is new green technology. Because of environmental concerns, people have created solar panels, electric cars, and new farming equipment. A 2023 article from National Geographic explains how solar and wind power are becoming more cheaper and more popular, helping reduce the use of fossil fuels. From a scientific standpoint, that by solar and wind energy can really help to decrease anyone's carbon footprint. However, making these changes is not always easy. One major problem is the cost switching to clean energy. A report from New York Times in 2022 stated that green infrastructures could reach trillions of dollars globally, which is a big concern for governments and businesses. Another challenge is that some people don't want to change. For example, a CBS News article from 2021 discusses how coal workers in some U.S. states were against green energy laws because they feared losing their jobs and livelihoods. From an economical stance, that governments and businesses just look ways to keep or
War has
invest money
dominated
in
humanity since
governmental
early
concerns that
civilization.
the world
The
has.
Civil War, World War II, and the war against terrorism are some of the wars we learn about since our youth. But what constitutes war? What constitutes conflict and terrorism? Well, they are all extreme acts of violence driven by political or ideological goals. War happens when countries want to gain more land, money, power, and so on. War could benefit a country's economy. According to the Cato Institute, war can increase GDP per capita by reducing unemployment and shifting people from non-market activities to wartime production. Economically speaking, war could be very handy. Al Jazeera, a newspaper, explained how when Britain conquered India, they made over 45 trillion in profits. Not only did the conflict between Britain and India during the Britain Raj period benefit Britain's economy, but it also provided them with many important resources. An article by the Journal of Energy History describes how Burma Oil, a British oil company from the mid-1800s to late 1900s, developed and grew whilst benefiting from India's oil resources. This oil was used to power machinery and light up oil lamps. However, all this fighting often comes with heavy mortality rates. 9/11, a tragedy, was an act carried out due to Al-Qaeda's personal ideology. Over 2,976 died after the attacks on the Twin Towers, according to the FBI.gov. When so many people die and when such destruction occurs, what usually comes next is the fall of a country. An example of this could be the fall of the Russian Empire after World War I, which led to the rise of the USSR. Conflict can come from within. In this example, History.com describes how the massive death toll made the Russian people so angry with their government that they revolutionized against it. From a historical view, conflicts can often harm countries from within, leading to major events. Wars, conflicts, and all other extreme acts of violence will continue to be a topic of discussion for many years to come. Some will say that they are beneficial, others will disagree. Think critically. If war did not exist, how could disputes be resolved?
Advertising is the profession of producing advertisements for commercial purposes. So anytime someone pops up on television talking about a restaurant or a product, that's an advertisement. At the onset, advertisements create demand and increase sales. According to Harvard Business Review, advertising isn't just useful for small businesses, but also for well-established businesses in order to develop customer loyalty. From an economical point of view, not only is the customer happy, but the company also gets money. Additionally, advertisement provides information to consumers like the latest trends or the newest products. According to ResearchGate, it states that advertising lies in the organization of messages to attract attention. On the contrary, advertisements use one-way communication. According to Conversation Agent, it states that advertising is a one-way communication whose purpose is to inform potential customers about products and services they might be interested in and how to obtain them. From a social point of view, this is a missed opportunity to communicate with consumers in different ways, like surveys. On the other hand, advertising costs a pretty penny to run because advertisers want their viewers to keep watching to see what's new. According to Harvard Business Review, too often advertising is seen in short-run terms with the main emphasis on the current profit and loss statement. Additionally, they state that each piece of advertising influences sales today and at the same time adds another brick to the structure of goodwill that increases business tomorrow. This is good because it just keeps on going.
Printed media has been the main source of information for many years, but with digital media now available, the way people get news has changed. Both printed and digital media have their own pros and cons, especially when it comes to how trustworthy the information is and how easy it is to access. One of the biggest strengths of printed media is that people see it more relatable. This is because newspapers and magazines go through a lot of editing before they are published. The Covicon News says that local newspapers are always important because they keep communities updated on local events and issues. The University of Miami also says that journalism helps students share news and gain real-world experience. From a social stance, this shows that printed media still plays a strong role in social communication and especially in journalism. Furthermore, digital media has its own strengths and speeds. It allows people to get updates almost immediately. News websites and social media can report events as they happen. Thanks to this makes digital media a great tool for staying informed quickly. However, printed media can hurt the environment, making newspapers and magazines use a lot more paper and ink, which can cause deforestation and create waste. According to an article from cateye.com, the amount of paper Americans use is a big reason for the loss of trees. Companies are trying to reduce this by recycling. On the other hand, digital media also has its downsides. It requires internet and devices. Not everybody has access to the technology, which can make it harder for some people to get information. From a technology point of view, this creates a problem for people who don't have access to this.
Rural and urban areas both have their benefits and challenges. A rural area is where they have open land with fewer people and businesses. An urban area tends to be big cities with many people, jobs, and services. An urban area has many jobs in different companies and industries that give people the opportunity to find more career options and chances to grow. An article from the Urban Watch says how big cities with dynamic and fast-paced environment offer a variety of options of careers. This shows that urban areas are full of energy and constant change, making them ideal for career growth. From an economical stance, this competition pushes professionals to improve their skills. To add on, rural places are much cleaner and more peaceful. An article found on NCESE discusses how rural areas tend to have cleaner air, less traffic, and lower crime rates. This proves that people in the rural communities are able to enjoy fresh air in a quieter environment. From an environmental point of view, the lower the population density, the lower the rates of waste and emissions that are released into the air, making it cleaner and healthier for people to live in. But urban areas are extremely expensive since there's a greater population density. On the national debt release, it says that urban living has disadvantages because it has a competitive job market, higher cost of living, and stress that make people not want to move into the big city. This demonstrates that it's difficult to live in these places because of higher cost of living. Rural places also have limited services where it's harder to access hospitals and schools. From the Becker's Hospital Review, it says that closure of many of these rural healthcare facilities would not only mean that loss of critical healthcare services, but also trigger significant economic downturns. This shows that not having many or close hospitals that can affect not only the people, but workers as well.
One can see the effects of globalization all around. Phones, cars, and even vanilla extract are all available to Americans because of globalization. Now, what is globalization and what does it do? Globalization is the increasing interconnectedness and interdependence of world cultures and economies. It benefits the economy. In accordance to a report by the Office of the United States Trade Representatives, imports, which totaled to $3.2 trillion in 2022, increased 14.6% from 2021. Furthermore, a study done by the White House shown in their website details the percentage of cars that come from imports. The results show imported cars make up about 50 to 60% of all 16 million cars bought in 2024. This shows how globalization can have a very positive impact on the economy. Moreover, because of globalization, political bodies can unite to form political alliances and groups. Take the UN, for example, and NATO. The Ministry of Economy and Finances of Peru details in their article the different trade agreements currently sponsored by the Peruvian government. These include the OMC, APEC, and CAM. From a political vantage point, globalization could strengthen the bonds between countries by allowing them to form alliances and trade between one another. On the other hand, globalization can enable easier collapses of major systems. When one person or one group fails to cooperate in a system where everything works akin to dominoes, the whole system can collapse. In August of 2024, NPR described how a workers' strike on rail freight cost Canada a lot of money and almost harmed the US in the process. When so many systems are interrelated, they become dependent on each other, and a tiny slip-up could lead to destruction. Furthermore, globalization means tourism, and tourism means environmental damage. According to the Miami Herald, tourist boats keep dumping waste into Florida's waters, which is ruining coral ecosystems and endangering Florida's aquatic species. From an environmental perspective, globalization could lead to many problems in the environment and may bring more harm than good. To recap, globalization is the dependence and connectedness countries have with each other. Some people may say it is good, others will disagree. What is clear is that globalization will keep on being a thing, and countries will keep on trading with each other.
Imagine an America that shuts its doors to immigrants. What will happen next? The reality that might be closer than we think. When people move from one country to another is for the reasons such as job, safety, or family. It can also bring benefits to a country, but it can also create challenges that the government needs to manage. At the onset, one of the major benefits of immigration is the help it brings to the economy. Immigrants often take jobs in areas where there are not enough workers. This helps businesses grow and keep important services running. In an article from CMS, in an economic sense, immigrants and their labor contributes to the growth of the overall economy. From an economic aspect, they would agree on their efforts and their contributes to taxes. Furthermore, another positive effect is the diversity immigrants bring. People from different countries bring in new ideas, food, languages, and traditions. This can make a country more creative and open to new ways of thinking. On the other hand, immigration can also cause problems if it happens too fast or without enough planning. One problem is the strain on natural resources. In an AP news article, it tells that unwavering environmental culture prevention and good governance laws that protect clean air and clean water, safeguard precious natural resources and precious vibrant ecosystems and biodiversity will only cause further harm to the border and communities and ecosystems. Moreover, immigration can also put pressure on public services. When services are stretched too thin, it can lead to long wait times or crowded spaces. According to a Los Angeles Times, that it aims to end birthright citizenship, meaning that anyone born in the U.S. to an immigrant parent will not automatically become citizens. From a governmental stand, this is one way for the population to stop inclining and also make immigrants' lives harder.
Have you ever performed on stage before? Well, that's what performing arts is all about. Whether it's band, dance, or a theatrical performance, as long as you're on stage, it counts as a form of performing arts. On the onset, performing arts provides a community of people that have the same preferences and commitment. According to an article published by Big Star Studios, it states that performing arts creates an environment where individuals all have to work together to bring a shared vision to life. For example, in theater, performers have to practice their lines and actions, while set makers have to paint and make the set pieces, all to create a wonderful show. From a social point of view, this can be beneficial to create a healthy and social environment for children and adults alike. Additionally, performing arts creates a sensation of fulfillment that can help people express their deepest emotions and wildest imaginations. From an entertainment point of view, this is beneficial to maintain yourself from becoming bored and restless. On the contrary, some people get severe burnouts that can cause them to develop mental illnesses like depression or cause them physical health problems like cardiovascular issues or a weakened immune system. According to the University of Tennessee, burnout has been associated with decreased performance and early termination of activities. On the other hand, performers deal with extreme competition that can cause stress and anxiety, but it can also turn into jealousy. According to an article written by Dance Plugs, it states that friendly competition is healthy, but if competition goes beyond a healthy limit, it can turn into jealousy, which can be problematic and has been found to ruin friendships and team relations.
Surveillance is observing people's places or activities, usually by using typical technologies like cameras. But privacy is the right to control personal information and limit access to that information. We all want to maintain our personal information away from other nosy individuals. That's why surveillance and privacy are protected by different programs and systems by the government. An article on EDPS says that the GDPR ensures information is shared without violating personal data or business privacy. This shows that government is making sure to prevent any privacy violations by giving individuals more control over their own data. From a political stance, this helps reduce risk like identity theft and unauthorized access. So, to add on, surveillance increases security by helping prevent crime and monitor threat. An article from GU says that today's surveillance system has become more refined and powerful. This proves that with that much security, individuals now don't have as much problems in the past. From a technological perspective, modern surveillance systems have evolved greatly, but surveillance can also be misused. From the Harvard Law Review, it says that it can chill the exercise of our civil liberties, meaning that people are starting to lose confidence in exploring different political and social issues. Privacy also has small security measures. An article from NBC says that Google are still tracking people's information even in incognito mode, which means that we still have no privacy even if we believe we do.
There is currently over 7,000 languages in the world, and every day it increases and decreases. Language is an elemental tool used for communication and how we interact with others. Not everyone speaks the same language. Some might speak only their native language, while others can speak many much more along with it. Initially speaking, language plays a crucial role in academic development and developing better memory. In fact, a study on the Harvard Educational website proves how those who are bilingual have less chances of developing dementia or might obtain it much more later on than monolinguals usually do. Scientifically speaking, an understanding of 2 or more languages enhances your brain activity and development. Furthermore, language is an essential factor to building relationships with others, whether it might be communicating with one another with each other's common language or learning another language to build further relationships with others. According to the ACTFL website, it provides information on how language learning helps understand others' cultures better. It also helps with expressing yourself better and improving understanding. On the other hand, language is detrimental due to it causing barriers in communication and inequality. Some can't communicate or can't comprehend fully in an unknown language for them, and it makes it difficult for them to obtain information on education, medical support, and such other important factors. Those who aren't as specialized in English come across challenges with healthcare. This includes being misdiagnosed and not being able to communicate their symptoms. Unfortunately, language is a terrible factor due to discrimination that comes along with it. For instance, with every language comes an accent. According to the NPR article, it talks about how a couple didn't teach their daughter her native language, which is Spanish, because they didn't want her to face prejudice and discrimination. This results in slowly losing their native language, and the cycle will continue on because that's what they were taught as a child.
When you go to the doctor for a shot, and when you go to the grocery store for an apple, you're experiencing the effects of scientific advancements. But have you ever wondered what goes into these advancements? What do they do, and are they ethical? To start off, ethics ensures that research is conducted responsibly and with respect towards subjects. These advancements can improve crops. GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, enhance the better and more desirable traits of certain organisms. According to the National Corn Grower Association, and yes, that is a real thing, BT corn developed in the 90s has reduced the need for pesticides during the growing season, providing environmental benefits. Scientific advancements allowed for the discovery of GMOs. Another major milestone achieved by medical advancements include vaccines. According to WHO, Dr. Edward Jenner created the world's first successful vaccine in 1796 by injecting people with cowpox and making their bodies immune to smallpox. Looking at the topic scientifically, these advancements allow for great and advantageous things to happen that may save a lot of people, and well, what can be unethical about that? Well, some people disagree. Scientists and pharmacologists were the first to create opioids. They quickly got popular and were commonly used to calm patients and ease their pain. Opioids became quickly addictive, and patients were sadly hooked because of their doctor's decisions and this breakthrough in medicine. The Miami Herald describes the opioid epidemic that has cost 500,000 lives from 2000 to 2025. According to the article, there was a 35% increase in opiate-related deaths. In 2016, from an ethical view, this is not right. Scientific advancements have ruined people's lives and driven them to the point of madness and death in the most extreme cases. Moreover, there is an ongoing study where scientists are creating brains from scratch. The ethical problems in this are big. If they succeed, is the brain going to have a consciousness? Will it feel? Will it be human? The Guardian discusses all of these things and more with details on how scientists are nervous about the direction of the study is heading to. The thought of an artificial brain capable of thoughts is of high concern. All in all, scientific and medical advancements have helped a lot of people, and they have hurt a lot of people. Some studies have followed ethical guidelines and others are up for discussion. No matter what, it is clear that humanity's curiosity will keep pushing them forward, even at the cost of others.